Good evening. Calling the meeting to order of the Arlington Select Board, December 17th, 2018. It is just after 6 p.m. in the Select Board chambers on the second floor of Town Hall. All the way to my right is Selectman John Hurd. Immediately to my right is Selectman Joe Curo. I am Selectman Dan Dunn. To my left is Selectwoman Diane Mahan. We are joined by our Town Council, Doug Heim, and our Board Administrator, Marie Kopelka, and our Town Manager, Adam Chapdelaine, will be joining us shortly. He was testifying on Beacon Hill earlier today. Doug, you can even switch your name tags, right? Everyone's going to get all sorts of confused. All right, so our first item on the agenda is to appoint this vacancy to fill the term for our unfortunately departed Kevin Greeley, who has vacated his seat. And state law gives us 30 days with which to fill that vacancy. And the vacancy, the only thing the Town Manager Act specifies is that the voters are the remaining members of the Select Board and the Town Moderator, John Leone, who has joined us. And it is a majority of the votes present is what it takes to fill the vacancy. And I apologize to my colleagues for not being here last week. I'd really planned on being here and explaining in person what I'd planned on doing, but I had a fever of 102, so I stayed home.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't even get back to work till Thursday. It was a real mess. So what I said, and what I said in the memo, and I would like to just say in person, is that so a year ago we were at this situation with a little bit more warning, because Steve Byrne had told us in advance that he was going to vacate the seat, and we talked about it. And we chose a process, and we chose what we wanted, which we said was somebody who can hit the ground running, who's going to be good during warrant article hearings. And we also said that we wanted someone who wasn't going to run for the full term because we didn't want to put our thumb on that particular scale. And we definitely said, that really means former at the time, former Board of Selectmen members, now former Select Board members, were the right pool to choose from. This year, we went through a process, and the process was uncomfortable for a lot of people, so I think we ended up in a really good place. So this year, we had less warning. I believe, and John wasn't with us when we did that, but at the same time, without being able, the other thing also that happens, of course, is you can't talk about these things privately because it violates the open meeting law. It actually becomes even more complex because when there's only 4 of us, you can't even have 2 of us who are talking. So at that point, as chairman, I took some unilateral actions, and if I stepped on toes, I'm going to apologize post hoc and say I'm sorry, but at the same time it seemed like the right thing to do, which is I called up Clarissa and I said, hey, you were really good last time, all the same criteria appear, would you do it again? And she said yes. So my plan for the process was appoint Clarissa, see step 1, and that was it. So comments, questions, motions.
I'd like to.
Mrs. Mahan.
I think procedurally I have to make a motion to open nominations. Is that correct, Doug?
I think that would be appropriate.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to open nominations.
Second.
Motion. Nominations are open.
I'd like to, if I could, nominate Ms. Clarissa Rowe.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a nomination and a second. Are there further nominations?
Someone needs to close.
Yeah.
Move to close.
Move to close?
All right.
I'll second the move to close the nominations by Mr. Leone.
All right. Nominations are closed. We have one name there. Mrs. Kopelka, would you please conduct a roll of the 5 voters?
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Curo?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Leone?
All right. Doug.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to note one thing. You may have mentioned it, but I may have missed it. Just to be clear for everybody, this appointment is only until the election of a replacement for this coming town election. And the clerk has released the election calendar, which means that folks can get their papers for that seat.
Thank you for that clarification. Thank you very much, Mr. Leone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else we can do for you?
Nope. Just want to take a second and thank Chief Ryan for his 20 years of good service to the town of Arlington.
For sure.
Yep.
We're going to miss him. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on the agenda. We have the minutes from, under the consent agenda, we have the minutes of the meeting in November 14th.
Move approval?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Appointment to the Cyrus Dallin Art Museum. Michael Borgasano. All right, Mr. Borgesano, come on up to the microphone, please, and just tell us we've got your note, but tell us briefly about yourself and why you're interested, and just say your name for everybody else.
All right, Mike Borgesano. You pronounced it very well, Mr. Dunn, so thank you. I grew up in Woburn, still live in Woburn. I lived away in California for a long time after college. My wife and I just bought a house there a couple years back. I do a lot of volunteer work in the Arlington community. A lot of it is around sort of food scarcity and nutrition programs, things like that. And through that, I got introduced to some folks that work for Cyrus Dallin. So for, I guess, about 2 years now, maybe a little bit over, I've been sitting in on their board meetings and doing a lot of outreach for them and a lot of sort of donation, fundraising, et cetera, for them. And so we had a couple folks leave, and they made I guess an official, I don't know what to call it, motion to get me onto the board of directors and set this up. So, art is very close to my heart, and keeping a place like that open is very close to my heart. And I just found out about 6 months ago, actually, that the guy that restores a lot of the artwork, Bob Shore, at Skylight Studios, is 150 yards from the house I bought. So it's, I go to his studio frequently now.
All right. Cool. Questions? Motion?
I'd like to move to appoint Mr. Michael Borgesano to the Cyrus Island Art Museum.
Any further discussion? Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for volunteering. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0 vote.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
We're
probably be the other way around and not flunk. So.
we're the easy interview.
And I'm walking around with this thing that one of your folks was giving. Yeah.
Yep, you're good. Yeah, yep, thank you. All right, just want to double check. Lokesh Adhikari, you're here, okay, good. So next up is a common victualler license for Villa House of Pizza. Mr. Hurd.
Yes. So a few years ago, when the current owners of Villa House of Pizza got their common victual license, I represented that entity and those individuals before this board. So for this particular common vic license, I'm going to recuse myself and step out of the room while the remaining board hears the application.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hurd. All right, then come on up. I just want to make sure that you're actually here before we started, because we wouldn't need to recuse him if we weren't actually going to talk about it.
Okay.
So why don't you please introduce yourself and talk about the business you're opening and talk about your application.
Yeah, my name is Lokesh Adhikari from Medford. I live in Medford. And the Villa Pizza was owned by my friend before. Like, he runs for like almost like 4 years. And they decided to go back to Nantucket. And they told me, like, can you handle, since I'm running other business, I have a restaurant couple one in Somerville, one in Boston. And I said, okay, so, and I'm working there. I worked there for like almost like 6-7 months as a volunteer. And then I decided that I can take over that place. So I'm gonna take that place as it is. I'm not gonna do any construction, nothing. So I'm gonna buy the LLC, everything.
Thank you.
I'd like to move approval.
Second?
We have motion second. Is there questions from the board?
Just
Mrs. Mahan.
one question, I just want to make sure, and this is your right, I'm not questioning it, but
Yeah.
your intentions are to do every day but Tuesday. I mean, Monday. The store will be open every day but Monday?
Exactly. yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
That's fine, and that's perfectly okay.
Oh, okay. So Monday we decided to close. So
That's
we're
fine,
gonna run,
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Further questions from the board? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 3-0 vote. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Doug, do you mind grabbing John?
Of course.
Thank you.
You got it?
I found a straggler.
Oh,
Oh,
afraid you
find
were
a
out
part-
there enjoying the concert.
You
You
couldn't
weren't
find a
gonna come
parking
back.
space, so you couldn't find. All right, John Hurd is back, Adam Chaplin has joined us. Next up is Monogamy Grill and Tavern, late night request. Good evening.
How you doing?
Good, thank you.
It's just to have the option for so people stay and don't go somewhere for, it's funny, the last few years, we do a great business but by midnight, there's not that many people there. But I want them to have the option to have a drink. That's all.
So extra night, New Year's Eve, extra hour on New Year's Eve.
Yes. Yep.
Move approval?
Second.
And just because Mr. Hurd, who's been following the Selectmen's meetings anyways, you've done this several times.
Every year.
In the years past. Can you just very briefly say in terms of kitchen and apps, how late that's open, and last drink served is when?
Yeah, so we'll follow the Arlington thing. I mean, the full menu will stop at 11, but we'll have food available. The hummus and the chips and dip and all that kind of stuff. Quite often, we even keep it going. We'll follow the crowd, but it's a safe environment for sure. Like I said, most of the sales are like 7 to 11, then people go home to watch the ball and all that. We're getting old.
You notice he looks at me.
Yeah.
You notice he.
No, I said we.
He said we. He said we.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we've got a motion. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
4-0 vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Billy.
Have a great
Bill,
holiday.
you
You
too.
too. Take care.
All right, we have a similar request from Tango, which would like to be open an hour. Welcome.
Hello. Everything he said.
Can you just give us your name, please?
Alyssa Sherman.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move approval?
Second.
Motion second by Mr. Curo. Questions?
Yeah. You see the same pattern where people?
Yeah, we do actually. It's funny when he started saying that. I'd say last year was like our first year that we kind of emptied out by midnight, and we were like, oh, okay. But, you know, it's always nice to have the option, and, you know, our staff is still there. So, again, we'll be serving food until 11, 11:30 if that's what the crowd is there for. And, you know, but if not, we'll just shut it down.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. 4-0 vote. Thank you.
And I just wanted to pass along my condolences to your other selectmen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, so we have for approval a long, long, long list of license renewals. They are contractor drain laners, Class 1, Class 2, Class 2 non-premise auctioneer, lodging houses, innkeepers, second-hand dealer, public entertainment, automatic amusement, food vendor, common victualler, wine and malt beverages only, all alcohol restaurant, all alcohol club, theater license, all alcohol package store, and sidewalk cafes.
Move approval, subject to all conditions as set forth.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
4-0 vote. All right. I guess we actually do have time to do the executive session minutes if we want to do that now.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Up to you.
All right. And we have the minutes to be released? We do. Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the purpose of this is,
Don't we have to go into executive session first?
we can state what the purpose of it is.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
But the purpose is obviously if there's any corrections that need to be made to the executive session minutes, that can be done. But we are required by the open meeting law to periodically review executive session minutes to determine whether or not the purpose of them being in executive session is still valid. And if it's not, they need to be released and made publicly available.
Yep. And we are 3 months past that, the most recent time we do executive session, I think, is how we got here.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss, review the executive session minutes of September 12, 2018, and that when we adjourn executive session, that the board will come out in open session and is anticipated to take a vote.
Second.
Ray, could you conduct a roll?
Okay. Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Curo?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan?
Yes.
All right, calling us back into order out of executive session. We discussed some minutes. Is there a motion? Mrs. Mahan?
I'd like to make a motion to approve and release the executive session minutes of September 12th, 2018.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, that is the end of our executive session. Mrs. Kropelka, new business.
Just to remind everyone, if you're available, tomorrow is Adam's Town Employee Party downstairs from 11:30 to 1:30. Is it Adam or 1? Yeah, 11:30 to 1:30, if you're available.
Thank you. Mr. Heim.
Folks should be able to pull their papers for annual town meeting election and the select board seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Kropelka took my new business, but I will remind you that it's Blue Ribbon Barbecue if that changes it if you mind.
Diane.
No new business.
John.
No new business.
Joe.
No business, but I'll be there.
Just been convinced.
Was it the beans or was it the mashed potatoes?
Both.
Burnt ends, baby. But anyway, sorry.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned until January 7th, 2019.